episode 17 of Talent Hub TV. We're here with Janet Cutler from Modern Star today, so thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
We've got a lot to discuss. So you've got an interesting Salesforce journey and experience, and I'm really interested to hear more about how you use the platform in your current role. Okay. So I guess before we go into the Salesforce side of things, what's your background before the Salesforce market and ecosystem?
It's a pretty varied background, I guess. I grew up in the UK and left school, went into the hotel and catering industry. Went to work on cruise ships for a little while.
Okay.
Ended up coming to Australia with a friend from school to go travelling, and basically never went home. But at that stage, decided to give up the hotel and catering industry because I didn't want to work weekends and public holidays and stuff. And fell by default into the IT industry. And stayed there for quite a few years, where I worked at Symantec and a few different things, mainly as a sales role. And then I ended up at Modern Star about 14 years ago as a sales manager for one of the toy companies that they had.
Okay.
And then I did a few roles for them there. And when my kids went to school, I actually left for a couple of years. And when I went to get back into the workplace, I couldn't find my CV, so I went back to my old boss and said, "You wouldn't have to have a copy." And he said, "No, I've got a job if you want one."
No way.
And he said they'd made the decision to go with Salesforce, and he was just looking for someone to run the project for 9 months. That was 9 years ago. And he just said, would you like to do the job? And I said, I don't know anything about Salesforce, so I was a little bit concerned about that. And he went, "You really don't need to know Salesforce. You need to know how the business works, and then the rest will fall into place." And to be honest, he was quite right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a great journey over 9 years with Salesforce.
So you said you were like in an IT role with more sales. So would you have classed yourself? You didn't know anything about Salesforce, but would you have classed yourself as an IT savvy person at that point?
Not really. I'd actually never heard of Salesforce when Neil first said that to me. But it was really much more about sales for me, the software side of things. So, Symantec's antivirus and that kind of thing. But we had a technical team that we used for any technical questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say I was technical. I still wouldn't say I'm technical.
Sure. So then 9 years ago, moved into Salesforce, managed the program of work.
Yes.
How's that kind of role taken shape? What kind of roles have you performed over the last 9 years with
So
Salesforce?
I've been quite lucky at Modern Star. Salesforce has been my main focus the whole way along, and now it's my only focus, but along the way I did do a few other things in the early days when it was less busy. So I guess we have 2 external sales teams on 2 different companies, and we have the customer service team. So we kind of started with around 70 users. Mm-hmm. And so once they were up and running and everything was going well, I found time to start generating our social media sites and things like that. But now we have 180 users. We've bought about 5 companies in the last 5 years. We've had to integrate those. We've had to integrate other Salesforce orgs into ours. We've had to create very secure, almost like its own org, but within our org for a company that we bought. So now it really is a full-time role for me because I've got so many users, and our usage of the Salesforce platform has grown significantly.
Sure. And what does that look like now from a Salesforce landscape angle perspective?
So we pretty much have Salesforce in every department. We've got Sales Cloud and Service Cloud, we've got Pardot, we've got Quip, we've got Analytics, we've got Get Feedback, we've got Map Anything. And I guess every department uses it quite differently. So customer service and the accounts receivable team, they do everything for the whole company. We've got about 14 companies under our umbrella. So they need to have access for everything, and they're doing all that stuff office-based. Our 2 sales teams are quite separate. One is in the school childcare space, one is in the retail space. Right. So their needs are quite different. Our inventory team and our marketing team run all the suppliers through Salesforce. So same we do with the customer, but it's all different for the suppliers. Obviously, the Pardot marketing team, as far as the emailing and everything goes, they've got their own builds. Yeah. And then really, I guess we've just tried to put any process that we have into Salesforce. I always say to my users, if you've got something on a spreadsheet, tell me. Yeah. And let's try and get it in Salesforce so that you're not working on these independent spreadsheets, and we can build an object around it, and we can build reports, and we can build dashboards, and it's just so much easier.
Everyone. So you've obviously got a big Salesforce platform. A lot of people we speak to might have Sales and Service Cloud or a couple of AppExchange products. And you've as you said, you've managed to show benefits of using different products in lots of different areas.
Yeah.
So how do you manage such a big platform as an individual?
So it has become more tricky over the years as our usage has grown, and the Salesforce platform is also growing at a very rapid rate as well. So one of the first things we did a few years back is sign up for the Premier Support to get the admin assist, which means that I can log the cases and just get somebody to help me with the fields and workflows, in particular formula fields, because they're not my strong point.
Yeah, not mine.
And that sort of frees up a bit more of my time so that I can actually think more strategically with the managers in the organisation. So as they come to me with questions and things that they'd like to do, if I think that there is a Salesforce product or an App Exchange product that will support that, we will definitely look at it. And usually management are happy to go with my decisions if we think we need to purchase something else.
Sure. And how do you stay on top of the products?
That's becoming increasingly harder. In fact, that's one of the things I talked about at Dreamforce last year. But I think it's really just looking at each product release, taking the time before the release comes out to watch the videos. You know, the release notes have gone from this big to this big, and there's a video for every cloud now. So typically it takes a day of my time to just work from home and just go through that Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, the Pardot, Quip, just to see what's coming up, and then literally have to just cherry pick what are the best things for us and see which ones we can implement and how long it's going to take.
Sure.
And what I can do, I do. And if it's something a little bit more complex, either get admin assist involved or work with an external partner.
Yeah, and that leads me on nicely to the next question, because I know you have worked with partners in the past, and companies do, some companies don't. But how do you effectively work with a partner in your experience?
So for me, I think because my knowledge has grown quite a bit over the years. I've done a few training courses. When I look for a partner, I'm either looking for them to specialise in one of the products that we've got, like the Pardot or the analytics or something like that. But most importantly, I want to be able to learn from them, from my own knowledge, so that going forward that I can maintain things. So some companies don't want to work with people that are that knowledgeable. They want to do the whole shebang.
Sure.
But for me, that doesn't really work because I really need to stay on top of everything. So I just asked for recommendations. I've worked with several companies along the way. They've all been great. And just depends where we go. For us now, the analytics has been a new area, and we've worked with Mark Tussle, who I know you've spoken to. But it's just great to find that expertise, because as the Salesforce platform grows, it's really hard to be an expert in any one of the products now.
Yeah, for sure.
So just kind of, I feel like I scratch the surface with it, and then I need to go and find the expertise.
But then, so your I guess aim is to bring them in to do the initial work, but then to upskill you enough so that you don't need to continue using them ongoing. Is that the way you work?
Like that, or if it's a big project that I simply don't have time for, then I would like to. I work with them ongoing, but I still want to learn while I'm doing that, rather than just let them do the project and give me a finished thing. I really want to be there and do that, get the understanding on the way through.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. Just to continue running a platform like you have, just to have that foundation knowledge that if something does go wrong, you're there to fix it. So that makes sense. You've presented a number of times at different events, but the big one, Dreamforce, how was that?
It's pretty scary, but it was great too. So yes, last year was my third Dreamforce, and they asked if I would like to speak. So they offered me a Rockstar admin 20-minute theatre session. Yeah. And they were terrific about working with me, about working on the content and slides and everything like that. But it was really good. It was great to be recognised as a Rockstar admin, and it was great to tell the story of what I do. We really focused a lot on how to get the most out of the Salesforce platform. Modern Star is highly regarded by Salesforce as using the platform really well. Sure. And I am a solo admin, so just how do you stay ahead of the curve? How do you keep your learnings? How do you deliver the right thing to your users in a timely fashion? Yeah. I've worked by this motto that I got from the first Dreamforce. If my reps in particular can't do something in 6 seconds on a mobile device, chances are I'm not going to do it. So whenever I'm looking to build something or anything, that's kind of where I start. Yeah. So the user that's going to do it, how quickly can they do it, and then come back to the office, because it's actually a lot easier for people in the office with the desktops and the 2 screens and everything. Yeah. But with my reps on a phone or an iPad, it's got to be quick, it's got to be easy.
Yeah, makes sense. And I know for a lot of people, presenting at Dreamforce would scare them. I'm sure it scares
It did
everyone.
scare me.
But it's also probably a dream a lot of people would have.
Yes.
So what's the best way to prepare for something like that?
I think to just be confident about what you're speaking about. I worked with Salesforce here and in the US before we actually went there. And they're very good at coaching you through. Just use them for all the advice they've got. They've got great systems in place. I mean, I think every Salesforce person always speaks so well at any public event. I think they get a lot of training. So I helped them guide me. They got me to give them the content, but they helped me put it together. And we did 3 or 4 dry runs, timed to the second of how long it was going to take. I recorded it myself on my mobile phone and played it back, which is the most uncomfortable thing you can do, but I think it just stands you in really good stead. And then, when you're actually there just to enjoy it, 20 minutes goes by really quickly. Maybe if you can speak at a local event before you went, that would be great. And maybe
which you've also done.
I've done World Tour here. I've done connections here. I've done a few sort of their lunches for specific market shares. I did a manufacturing and distribution one. And I think the easiest way to ease yourself into talking about things is to get on a panel. So when they have a breakfast or a lunch, they've got 3 or 4 customers as a panel. That's quite nice because you might be up there for 10 minutes, but you might only speak for 2 or 3. And then you can look at opportunities to speak at connections or a world tour or something like that. And then go for the big one.
And is it Dreamforce? And is it quite often that they come to you and ask about these? So Dreamforce,
absolutely, they come to me. They know I'm open to speaking. But they generally come to me where they think there's going to be a good fit. And I think if you're passionate about what you do, and I love the Salesforce product, I'm thrilled with what we've been able to do with it at Modern Star. It makes it easier to talk about because I really enjoy that whole environment at Salesforce.
And just on that topic as well, if there's other companies out there that watch this and are interested in, some of the products that you're using, what's the best way for them to kind of reach out and say, what's your advice around this?
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm happy for people to reach out to me through LinkedIn, or I'm pretty well known at Salesforce, so if they go through their Salesforce rep or come through you to get my contact details, I'm happy with that.
Okay, great. And looking forward, you're a big fan of the Salesforce products. I'm sure you're excited to see future acquisitions and things like that. But what is it about the next kind of 12 months that most excites you?
I think for us, an area that we underutilize Salesforce on the Service Cloud side now is all of the omni-channel and the live chat and the bots. So I've been involved with the Salesforce Service Cloud Council for Asia Pacific and just watched a few stories of some companies that have really got into that Service Cloud and gone with a lot of the automation stuff. And I think for us, that's where we should go next. We're 60 years old. We have our customer service here in Sydney. We've got a lot of companies, but we still do a lot of stuff by phone, fax, and email. And I think it's time that we kind of step forward and give people the ability with live chat on the phones. And we work with a lot of school teachers. They have very limited time during the day. If they're on lunch break, they might be in the playground. They can't make a phone call, but they could maybe live chat. So I think we could really maximise our ROI there by utilising that. And then it's exciting times for us. Our company's gone through huge growth. We're going to continue to grow. So it kind of depends a bit on what direction that takes as to where we will look. But I'd just like to continue maximising the product.
Okay, great. I'm sure you will. And Dreamforce just around the corner. You've been 3 times.
Yes.
What's your advice to anyone going for their first time this year?
First time. It's pretty overwhelming. So I think just making sure you're organised, get onto that agenda builder as soon as it comes out. If you're going with somebody else, that's fantastic because there's not enough sessions for one person to see everything you probably want to see. So I've been many times with 2 or 3 people. We never go to the same session. We always make sure we're at different sessions, but be open to change as well. Like I find I then look at the agenda builder every night and change the next day because you might have seen something before or something else comes up you think is going to be more appropriate, and it's pretty easy to change on the fly. But it's just sort of keeping on top of it. Don't party too hard, but have a good time.
That's actually really good advice because everyone says make sure you get your agenda sorted early. But I've never heard anyone say actually just look every day again and make sure that
Oh,
it's all
absolutely.
aligned.
You need to sort it early because a lot of the good stuff gets booked out first,
Yeah.
and it's always released in the US time. So
Sure.
you want to know what you want to sign up for, and especially when they have the great speakers like Michelle Obama and stuff, that gets booked out.
Did you go to that one?
I couldn't get into the main room, but I did get into one of the other rooms where I could watch on video, and she was amazing.
Yeah, I hate to say it, I managed to get in.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it was incredible.
I did get into Ashton Kutcher,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I thought he was amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I find that I need to look at it every night because I find that you might see something that you didn't know was really going to tweak your interest, and then you might find something else related to that to learn a bit more about that scenario.
Yeah, so true.
The first year, I definitely put too many things into my agenda and didn't leave any time for networking or anything like that. So I also find it's great to spend a bit of time in the Asia Pac Lounge that Salesforce have there, just connecting with people, connecting with your Salesforce representatives. And then just flick through the agenda, take the battery charger so your phone doesn't run out of battery.
Yeah.
And then you're pretty good to go. And I try to keep like half a day in the same place. So if I'm going to be in one hotel in the morning, try and find sessions in that hotel so that I'm not running from one end of San Francisco to the other.
You're
still doing your 20,000 steps a day, regardless. So
yeah, for sure. Well, look, Modern Star and yourself definitely Salesforce success stories. So I'm sure people are going to be really interested in the story, and also keen to reach out and hear more and get some advice around how they can utilize the platform in a similar way. So thank you very much for coming on. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
And all the best for Dreamforce this year and for the future. Yeah, for sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Ben.